Welcome to 10.5, the official podcast of the OPP Association. My name is Scott Mills.
And I'm Emily Brown, and we are the Strategic Communications Coordinators for the OPP Association, and your host for the 10.5 podcast, the official podcast of the OPP Association. The OPP Association is a sole bargaining agent for the close to 10,000 members of the Ontario Provincial Police in Canada. Our members are our focus and our strength, and we aim to provide important information to our members and the public about matters that affect policing in the province of Ontario.
Well, thank you, Emily. Today, we welcome Caitlin Fournier, the Senior Advisor for Pension and Benefits here at the OPP Association. And our episode is aimed to assist regular full-time uniform and civilian members of the OPP Association to understand life, accidental death, and dismemberment, AD&D, it's known, and critical illness insurance is available to them as members. So welcome, Caitlin.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so we'll jump right into it. And one of the questions that we get fairly often is people see Target quite a bit, and they wonder, who is Target and what is their relationship to the benefits team and to the association?
Target Benefit Administrators, more commonly referred to as Target, has been administering the OPP Association insured benefit program, so the health, dental, vision, since July 1st, 2009. Target works on behalf of the OPP Association along with the benefits carrier, which is Canada Life. Target also administers the OPP Association Life, the accidental death and dismemberment, and critical illness insurances that are offered through Canada Life and Sutton Special Risk. Target assists our members with coverage inquiries, denied claims, dependent beneficiary updates, changes to insurances, etc.
Well, I know they're quite helpful, Caitlin, so it's always nice to hear the full explanation about what they do over there at Target. But I know you're going to review some optional insurances that members can elect. And just before you get to that, I was wondering if you could first explain when and how our OPPA members can increase their insurances.
For sure. Active members can add or increase optional insurance policies throughout their career, except during specified leave of absences. Medical underwriting, which we refer to as evidence of insurability, which is a medical questionnaire that gets underwritten by the carrier, may be required when you're applying for additional insurances, unless those are being applied for within 31 days of a life event. And a life event can be a marriage, a cohabitation, a divorce, a marital breakdown, birth, adoption, etc. So when you're in 31 days of those events, there's some insurances you can apply for that don't require an evidence of insurability. To elect optional insurances, members must complete the OPPA group insurance form, which is we call it a Form 800. And if applicable, the evidence of insurability form. These forms are located in the forms library section of the member benefit services area on the OPPA website. You can also contact Target to ask for these forms, to review your file, insurances available, and what the associated premium costs would be.
So that's a good lead-in for the insurance options. So can we get into a little bit about what are the insurance options available to an OPPA member?
Sure. So first I'm going to review life insurance options available to eligible members, which are uniform members and classified civilian members. There are life insurances that are offered by both the OPP and the OPP Association. So first I'll talk about the OPP life insurances. So there's 1 times annual salary basic life insurance, and this insurance is offered to active members at no cost to them. The OPP covers the associated premium cost. It is a taxable benefit for the member. This policy terminates at retirement and converts to a $2,000 life policy. Members can also elect extra supplementary life insurance in the amount of 1, 2, or 3 times their annual salary. The premium cost of this currently is 35 cents per $1,000 of coverage per month. For example, if a member's salary is, say, $75,000, the premium cost for 1 times their annual salary would be $26.25 per month. This policy terminates at age 75 for active members and age 65 for retirees. There's also an OPP dependent life insurance, which is $2,000 for a spouse or partner and $1,000 for each eligible dependent child. The cost for this insurance is 15 cents a month for one dependent and 30 cents a month for more than one dependent, and that policy ceases at retirement. Next, I'm going to talk about the OPP Association life insurances. So there's an OPPA life policy, which is a $20,000 mandatory policy. The premium cost is currently $7.23 biweekly. It's important to note that this insurance is mandatory as active members. You will have the choice to carry it on into retirement. If you elect to continue this policy into retirement, it has no termination age. Then there's an OPPA basic life and AD&D, which is the accidental death and dismemberment insurance, for $10,000 each. The premium's paid by the OPPA, and the coverage terminates at age 75 for active and retired members. The OPPA Basic Life and AD&D also has an optional increase, so you can increase that amount by $10,000 each. So if you elect the increase, it'd be $20,000 Basic Life and $20,000 Basic AD&D. The premium cost to elect that additional amount is $3.30 per month, and the termination age is 75. If you elect this coverage, it is in addition to coverage that I just previously mentioned. Then there's the OPPA dependent life insurance. So that's $6,000 coverage for a spouse or partner and each eligible dependent child. This premium cost is paid by the OPPA until retirement. The policy terminates when the member turns 65. And the last life insurance option is the spousal life insurance. This is an optional insurance policy, and an evidence of insurability is always going to be required, even if a member is within 31 days of a life event, as I mentioned before. The members can purchase the spousal partner insurance in the amount of $30,000 or $60,000. When the spouse turns age 65, then that policy is reduced in half. The premium rates are age-based, and the policy will terminate when the spouse turns 70 years of age.
Wow, that's really good information, because I'm quite certain that many of our members go through their entire career and don't even know all of this. So I'm glad we're talking about it, Caitlin. Thank you for reviewing it all, and I know I wasn't up to date on all of this information, so really good to have it out there.
That's why I really appreciate the opportunity to come onto the podcast and talk about the options available to members. The benefits team is really passionate about reviewing insurance options available in the hopes that members are going to review what they currently have, and if their needs have changed from the time they enrolled in the benefit plan. A lot of times we meet with members really early on in their career, and then they don't really look at their insurances as their life has changed. So it's important to just review what you have and if you want to increase any of the insurances that you've elected.
Well, why don't we keep rolling with this then? We've been talking about optional insurances. So what are some of the other optional insurances available to members?
So there's also a basic accidental death and dismemberment, an AD&D policy, which is through Sutton Special Risk. This provides financial security for OPPA members and their loved ones if faced with a tragedy of an accidental death rather than a death from natural causes, or dismemberment, which includes loss or the loss of use of certain body parts as a result of an accident.
Good to know, Caitlin. You mentioned basic AD&D coverage when reviewing the life insurances. Is this policy different?
Yes, so this policy is on top of the basic coverage of the $10,000 or $20,000. If members want more than that coverage for accidental death and dismemberment, under this policy, they can purchase $50,000 to $500,000 in coverage, and they can elect that coverage in increments of $25,000. Under this policy, they also have the option to elect member-only coverage or coverage that covers the member and their family.
So when you mention family coverage, what exactly does that entail?
If a member elects the family coverage, their spouse or partner is insured for 50% of the principal sum of insurance elected if they have eligible dependent children, or if their spouse/partner is insured for 60% of the principal amount if they don't have eligible dependent children. Eligible children are insured for 15% of the insurance amount elected if the member has a spouse or partner, and 20% if there's no spouse or partner.
Again, good to know, Caitlin. You mentioned earlier some insurances require evidence of insurability. Is that required for this particular policy?
No, so for this policy that I just talked about, there's no medical evidence required for the AD&D optional coverage. However, it's important to note that it is required for the optional AD&D, that $10,000 increase amount that I spoke about earlier. That one would require an evidence of insurability if not applied for within 31 days of a life event.
When you say evidence of insurability, what do you mean by that?
That's a medical questionnaire.
Okay.
So we would provide the members with the medical questionnaire form, or Target would. They would just fill out answer some questions about their medical history. That then goes to the carrier to be medically underwritten, and a decision is made if it's improved for that amount of coverage.
Great, thank you. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners regarding this AD&D policy?
One unique feature of this policy is that it also entails a critical illness rider, which is for the member only. And what that means is it's a critical illness component that's embedded in the policy. So if a member is diagnosed with one of the following conditions, a heart attack, a stroke, kidney failure, life-threatening cancer, blindness, or severe burns, they could make a claim under this critical illness rider. The coverage or the payment is 10% of the principal sum amount to a maximum of $10,000. So for example, if a member only had the $10,000 basic AD&D coverage, and then they were diagnosed with one of those conditions that I just listed, the possible critical illness payout under that policy would be $1,000. If the member elected the single or family plan of the AD&D coverage in the amount of $250,000, the possible critical illness payout would then be the maximum, which is $10,000.
This all gets quite complicated, and I encourage anyone that's listening to this that's in any way confused to maybe listen to it again and stop it and take some notes and maybe reach out and talk to the benefits team. They're always very, very accommodating with the calls here. And I personally didn't know that there was critical illness coverage. Is there any additional coverage greater than the $10,000 maximum that members can elect?
Yes, there is. So that takes me to our last optional insurance policy, which is a standalone critical illness policy. It's not connected to the AD&D policy as we just talked about. With this standalone critical illness policy, members can elect between $5,000 and $250,000 in coverage, with increases in the amount of $5,000. This policy covers the members and their spouse or partner for 31 critical illnesses, and eligible dependent children are covered for 16 critical illnesses. The policy pays a lump sum benefit, so when an insured person is diagnosed with one of the covered critical illnesses, they can make a claim under this policy.
Now, I'm glad we actually went into it a little bit about the evidence of insurability. So does this policy require the evidence of insurability?
The member can elect up to $50,000 worth of coverage for themselves and $25,000 worth of coverage for their spouse without having to complete an evidence of insurability. If the member wanted amounts greater than that, then yes, an evidence of insurability would be required. If a member was denied coverage following the submission of an evidence of insurability, they could then elect the $50,000 on themselves or the $25,000 on their spouse, because those amounts are covered. Eligible children can be covered for $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000, and no medical evidence of insurability would be required for them. It's important to note here that an insured spouse or dependent child can't be insured for an amount that's greater than what the member has. So it has to be equal to or greater than coverage.
One question out of that, Caitlin, that's coming to my mind is, if a member decided to add or increase their insurances, what would be the effective date?
The effective date for insurances that don't require an evidence of insurability will be the first of the month following the date the original form is received by Target. The effective date for insurances requiring evidence of insurability will be the first of the month coinciding with or following the date coverage is approved by the insurance provider.
And Scott, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's a short amount of time, but we packed a lot of information in here. And I understand that our listeners will probably want to go back and maybe read some of the information for themselves. So if you're looking for information regarding insurance options, you can review the plan overview, and it's available on the OPP Association website at www.oppa.ca. And you're going to want to click on benefits and then benefit resources, and then member benefit service or target benefit administrators, and then select my benefits. Yeah, so Caitlin, anything to add to that?
I know today I've explained the insurances, what coverage is available to members at a really high level really quickly. As Emily said, if members want more information, we encourage you to view the resources on the website, as well connecting directly with Target or the benefits team here at the association. We're happy to talk in further detail about the coverages and the options. And also, just one thing to remember, the premium cost that I referenced in today's podcast, they're as of what's in effect today, so these costs could be subject to change. So I just wanted to mention that. Another thing is, it's always important when talking about insurances to remind members of the importance of updating their beneficiaries. Members can call Target and request a confirmation of insurance at any time. That will show you what you've elected, the coverage amounts that you have, as well as who's named as the primary beneficiary in the event that these insurances were to be paid out. Some members, they sign up, they select their beneficiaries when they start their career with the OPP, and it's something that we don't think about reviewing and updating. So that's something that we're really passionate about getting out to the membership, just making a call and making sure that your beneficiaries are who you want them to be and that they're up to date. And every time our team, that's Marilyn, Debbie, and I here at the association, have had the opportunity to speak about insurances with any of the members, we also stress the importance of having wills and powers of attorney in place. A will is a really important legal document that outlines how you would like to distribute your assets in the event that you pass away. Not having a will and powers of attorney can create unnecessary hardship for your loved ones, and we've seen situations in the past where members have passed without a will, and as a result, their family members have had some added stress of having to go through the courts and applying for something called a certificate of estate trustee. So just really important to think about having a will and powers of attorney put in place. Another thing worth mentioning too, the benefits team has the opportunity to meet with uniform members when they start their career with the OPP, but we haven't been able to speak with our civilian members regarding their insured benefits and insurances in the way that we would like to. So we're really excited to announce that starting in March, we're going to be hosting virtual civilian onboarding sessions. And they're going to be the second Wednesday of every month. So a blast out's going to be going out soon about those sessions, and we're really looking forward to getting them launched.
I just have one question there, Caitlin. I know this comes up quite often because we do deal with a number of deaths, and it's the permission for even the OPPA staff to speak with the family, and it's got to do with the kind of the will and the power of attorney and stuff like that. Could you just, if there's a member in the hospital or something like that, can you just touch a little bit on who we can talk to here at the OPPA and who Target can talk to on behalf of the member?
Yeah, so you gave an example there, having a member in the hospital. So we've had situations like that where a member's in the hospital and they can't speak for themselves, and a family member or friend contacts us to find out what they have in terms of life insurance. Without a power of attorney for property, we and finances, we can't speak with them. So we would have to see a power of attorney. We would help them to the best of our ability, but we wouldn't be able to say anything without the power of attorney. And also, in the unfortunate event where we've had members pass and the families coming forward to the association to speak about life insurances and next steps, we need to make sure that we're speaking with the executor. And it's important that we have that information.
That's great. We packed a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, and I appreciate it. And as I did mention before, this information is on our website, and it sounds like there's some exciting things coming up as far as blast outs to our membership. So thank you, Caitlin, for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, Scott and Emily, and I enjoyed spending this time with you.
You have been listening to Caitlin Fournier, the Senior Advisor of Pension and Benefits for the OPP Association, here on the 10-5 podcast, the official podcast of the OPP Association. We've been reviewing optional insurances available to members. A new episode drops every other Friday, and if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the 10-5 podcast on the platform of your choice. And if you do have a topic or a guest suggestion, please email us at communications@oppa.ca. Until next time, thank you for listening and stay safe.